Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in your life when you get tired of performing, tired of wearing a mask, tired of bending, shrinking, and twisting yourself into shapes just to earn applause from people who don't even know your story. And in that moment, a powerful realization hits you. You were not born to impress the world, you were born to express your truth. Because here's the reality, every time you try to impress the world, you hand your power away. You trade your authenticity for approval. You silence your voice just to fit into a mold someone else designed. But when you express your truth, you don't just live, you come alive. Your truth is not a performance, it's your power from the time we were kids. We were trained to follow the script, be liked, be accepted, be impressive, don't rock the boat, and what happens? People forget who they are while trying to become what the world wants to see. But you cannot change your life by pretending. You change your life by telling the truth about who you are, what you feel, what you stand for, and what you will no longer tolerate. Your truth is not arrogance. Your truth is not rebellion. Your truth is alignment. It's integrity. It's the moment your soul stops whispering and starts speaking. Authenticity isn't comfortable, it's transformational, let me tell you something. When you start expressing your truth, not everyone will clap. Some will walk away, some will criticize, some will feel threatened because your courage exposes their fear. And that's okay. The goal is not to be universally liked. The goal is to be undeniably real, because when you speak your truth, your voice becomes stronger, your vision becomes clearer, your relationships become deeper, your life becomes yours again. You stop chasing validation and start walking in conviction. The world doesn't need your perfection. It needs your presence. People don't connect with your performance. They connect with your humanity. They don't need you to shine for them. They need you to stand in your truth so they have the courage to stand in theirs. Your story, your scars, your lessons, those are not flaws to hide. They're messages someone else needs to hear. The moment you own them, you stop living in fear of judgment and start living in service of impact. Stop performing, start becoming. Today, make a decision. Let the world keep its expectations. Let the critics keep their opinions. Let the noise pass you by. You are not here to be a mirror for someone else's approval. You are here to speak, live, and breathe the truth that was placed inside you. Because when you express your truth, you don't just free yourself. You give others permission to do the same. So the next time someone asks you to fit in, to impress, to please stand tall and declare, I am not here to impress the world, I am here to express my truth. Most people don't even realize they're living inside an invisible prison, one built from expectations, opinions, and the constant hunger for approval. From the time we're young, we're conditioned to please, to fit in, to be acceptable. We learn to clap for the world while silencing our own voice. And without noticing, we trade authenticity for acceptance and call it success. But there comes a breaking point where your soul gets tired of hiding. You start to feel the weight of pretending, the exhaustion of performing for an audience that doesn't even know your truth. And in that moment, you discover something powerful. Approval is a prison, but authenticity is freedom. When you live to impress, you're constantly scanning, adjusting, editing, and shrinking to avoid rejection. You measure your worth by reactions. You question your every move. You betray your own instincts in exchange for applause. But the people you're trying to impress don't carry your pain, don't fight your battles, don't heal your scars. You've been giving them permission to define you when they were never qualified to do so. The shift begins the moment you stop asking, will they like this? And start asking, is this true to me? Authenticity doesn't mean everyone will approve of you. It means you finally approve of yourself. It means you stop negotiating your identity for acceptance. It means you stop shrinking your voice to make others comfortable. Your freedom begins when your self-worth is no longer on the auction block. When you live authentically, you stop chasing love and start attracting alignment. You don't lose people, you lose the ones who were never meant for the real you. And that's not loss, that's liberation. Because the world doesn't need another performer. It needs someone willing to live their truth without apology. People spend so much time polishing their image, rehearsing the perfect lines, adjusting their tone, and curating how they're seen. They think influence comes from being impressive, flawless, likable, admired. But the truth is, nobody is moved by your image. They are moved by your honesty. Your truth has a power your performance will never touch. You can look perfect and still be invisible. You can sound impressive and still make no impact. But the moment you speak from a place of truth, raw, unfiltered, unapologetic people don't just hear you, they feel you. There's a difference between communicating to be accepted and communicating to be real. The world is full of polished masks and empty words. What's rare is someone who speaks from conviction instead of fear. Someone who's not trying to be better than others, just committed to being fully themselves. When you express your truth, you don't have to chase connection. It happens naturally. People are drawn to the energy of authenticity because it cuts through noise and pretense. They can sense when you're not selling them an image but sharing something real from your soul, and understand this clearly. Truth doesn't require perfection. It requires courage. You don't inspire people by never falling. You inspire them by owning your story without shame. Your struggles, your lessons, your breakthroughs, those are not weaknesses to hide. They are bridges of connection. Your truth tells people, I've been there too. I understand. I'm human just like you. That's where impact lives. People don't remember the most impressive person in the room. They remember the one who made them feel seen, heard, and understood. So stop obsessing over how you're perceived and start focusing on what's real inside you. Your truth can do what your image never will. Transform hearts, shift perspectives, and create change. One of the biggest fears people carry is the fear of not being liked. They edit themselves to avoid disapproval, stay silent to prevent conflict, and pretend to agree so they're not judged. But here's the reality. If your truth makes someone uncomfortable, that doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you've stopped abandoning yourself to keep others comfortable. Not everyone will accept your truth, and that's not a problem. It's protection. The people who walk away because you showed up as your real self were never aligned with you to begin with. You don't need universal approval to live a powerful life. You need alignment with who you truly are. Too often, people keep toxic relationships, fake friendships, and one-sided connections alive just to avoid rejection. But rejection is not the enemy. The real danger is betraying yourself to stay liked. When someone pulls back because you stood in your truth, they're not rejecting your worth, they're revealing their limits. And that clarity is a gift. You're not here to be digestible for everyone. You're not here to be agreeable, predictable, or easy to label. Your purpose is not to fit inside someone else's expectations. When you step into your authenticity, something shifts. You stop chasing people and start attracting the right ones. You stop begging for space and start owning it. You stop fearing who might leave and start appreciating who chooses to stay without conditions. Your truth won't scare away the right people. It will call them in. The ones who misunderstand you, judge you, or feel threatened by your clarity were never meant to carry a front row seat in your life. Let them go. When you stop needing approval, you gain something far more valuable, self-respect. And once you have that, you'll never fear someone's absence more than you value your own presence. Your voice is one of the most powerful tools you have, but most people spend their lives shrinking it. They water down their words, hold back their opinions, and silence their feelings to avoid conflict or criticism. They think staying quiet keeps them safe, but all it does is disconnect them from their own power. Every time you censor yourself to please others, you chip away at your confidence. Every time you withhold what's real for the sake of being accepted, you teach yourself that your truth doesn't matter. And over time, that becomes your identity, muted, contained, unseen. But something transformative happens when you stop editing yourself and start expressing what's real. Your voice doesn't just get heard, it gets felt. Confidence doesn't come from being loud, it comes from being aligned. When your words are rooted in truth instead of fear, you don't have to force impact, it happens naturally. People may disagree with you, they may question you, but they will respect the clarity of someone who speaks from a place of conviction. Speaking your truth isn't about arguing or proving a point. It's about refusing to disappear from your own life. The more you express yourself honestly, the more powerful you become internally. You begin to trust your instincts. You stop rehearsing every sentence in your head. You stop apologizing for having boundaries, needs, or beliefs. You start standing in who you are without waiting for permission. And here's the shift. Your voice doesn't just serve you. It gives others permission to rise. When people see someone speak with authenticity instead of performance, it awakens something in them. It tells them you're allowed to be real too, so don't silence yourself to make others comfortable. The world doesn't need another echo. It needs voices rooted in truth, spoken without apology, and lived without fear. People think their truth only affects them, but that's not how impact works. The moment you choose to live honestly, you don't just free yourself, you activate something in others. Most people are walking around wearing emotional armor, pretending to be fine, hiding their fears, burying their desires, and living in quiet rebellion against themselves. They're not waiting for a perfect person to inspire them. They're waiting for someone real. When you express your truth without polishing it, without disguising it, you give others the permission they've been secretly craving, the permission to be themselves. You don't have to preach to influence people. You don't need a stage, a microphone, or a spotlight. Your authenticity becomes the message. Your courage becomes the example. Your honesty becomes a mirror that wakes people up to their own potential. They don't follow your perfection, they respond to your humanity. When someone hears you speak your truth, they recognize a part of themselves they've been suppressing. It's not about being impressive, it's about being aligned. Think about the people who changed your life the most. Were they flawless? No, they were honest, they were vulnerable, they spoke with conviction, not performance. They showed their scars, their lessons, their strength, and their growth without pretending to be something they weren't. That's why their words landed. That's why their presence mattered. You never know who's watching you, who's listening to you, who's silently suffering while waiting for someone to go first. Your truth might be the key that unlocks someone else's courage. Your decision to stop hiding could become the moment someone else stops pretending. That's why expressing your truth isn't selfish, it's service. You're not just living for you. You're lighting a path for others who are ready to rise but needed to see that it was possible. Most people spend their entire lives chasing approval without ever realizing how much of themselves they've traded away in the process. They want acceptance, applause, validation, anything that proves they're enough in the eyes of others. But the moment your worth depends on someone else's opinion, you've already surrendered your power. The goal is not to be agreed with by everyone, it's to be in agreement with yourself. Alignment, not approval, is where real strength lies. When you're aligned with your truth, you stop performing and start living. You don't shift to fit rooms, you don't dilute yourself to be digestible, and you don't betray your values for validation. You know who you are, and that clarity becomes your anchor. Approval is unstable. One moment people praise you, the next they criticize you. If your identity is based on that roller coaster, you'll never know peace. But when you live in alignment, external noise doesn't shake you. You're not moved by trends, opinions, or judgment. You're guided by conviction. That doesn't mean everyone will support you. Some will misunderstand you, some will question you, some will resist your growth because it challenges their comfort. But your job is not to convince them. Your job is to stay rooted in what feels true for you. The more you honor your inner compass, the more your life begins to reflect authenticity instead of performance. And here's the irony. The moment you stop seeking approval is often the moment you gain respect. People are drawn to those who are grounded in their identity. They may not always agree with you, but they can't ignore the strength of someone who moves with certainty instead of fear. So don't measure your life by applause. Measure it by alignment. When your spirit, your words, your decisions, and your actions are in harmony, you don't chase validation. You radiate something far greater, self-certainty. And that is the kind of power no one can give you, and no one can take away.